On her 76th birthday, May Musk was denied entry to Paris's most exclusive luxury store, Bel-Air, simply because her travel-worn appearance didn't scream wealth, an incident she never planned to share with her billionaire son, Elon. But a single call to him set off an unexpected chain of events. Rather than just venting her hurt, Elon took action that not only righted this personal wrong but reshaped an entire industry's approach to dignity and worth. What unfolded next didn't just transform one store, it sparked a global movement, inspiring millions to rethink the true meaning of luxury. A light drizzle fell from a grey Parisian sky as May Musk strolled along the wide sidewalk of Avenue Montaigne. After decades of hard work, scrimping to prioritize her children, she finally felt ready to treat herself to something special. Catching her reflection in a shop window, May noted her short, silver hair, slightly tousled by the wind, and the fatigue on her face from a long flight from the US. She wore simple black pants, comfortable shoes, and a plain blue sweater, nothing fancy, but neat and clean. Perfect for picking out a birthday gift, she told herself with a small smile. Ahead stood her destination, Bel-Air, the most prestigious store in Paris, a haven for movie stars, royalty, and billionaires. Its polished windows and golden door handles gleamed like a jewel. May felt a flutter of excitement in her chest. She'd waited years for a moment like this. Nothing too extravagant, just a small memento for her 76th birthday in Paris, perhaps a silk scarf or a pair of gloves. As she approached, May noticed a tall man in a black suit standing guard at the entrance. His name tag read Vincent. With sleek black hair and a thin mustache, his sharp eyes scanned everyone who neared. A well-dressed couple approached, diamonds sparkled on the woman's neck, and the man carried bags from other high-end stores. Vincent flashed a wide smile, opening the door with a deep bow. "Welcome to Bel-Air, monsieur and madame," he said warmly. May stepped forward just as the couple disappeared inside. Taking a deep breath, she moved toward the entrance. Vincent's smile vanished. His eyes narrowed, taking in her worn travel shoes, modest clothing, and tired expression. Before May could speak, he blocked the door. "I'm sorry, madam," he said, his tone devoid of remorse. "We're closed today for a private event." May blinked in surprise. "But those people just went in," she said, gesturing toward the couple. Vincent's face hardened. "They're on the list. Only special guests." Through the glass doors, May could see others shopping inside. Another elegantly dressed woman approached, and without a word, Vincent stepped aside to let her pass. "I just want to buy a small gift," May explained. "It's my birthday today." Vincent paused, his gaze once again sweeping over her travel attire. "Perhaps another store would suit your budget better. May I suggest the tourist shops by the river?" Heat flooded May's face. In that moment, she wasn't a successful woman in her 70s. She was a struggling single mother again, judged and deemed unworthy. Inside Bel-Air, a young woman with dark curly hair watched the exchange. Her name tag read Zara, a newer employee at the store. She bit her lip as Vincent turned May away. It wasn't the first time she'd witnessed this, but something about the silver-haired woman's quiet dignity stirred her. "Excuse me," Zara whispered to her supervisor, "shouldn't we? Aren't you supposed to be organizing your section, Zara?" the supervisor snapped. "Vincent knows who belongs here and who doesn't." Outside, May straightened her posture. She refused to cry. She'd faced far worse than a snobbish doorman in her life. "I understand," she said evenly to Vincent. "Thank you for your time." As she turned to leave, the first raindrop fell, landing on her cheek like a tear. By the time she reached the corner, the rain poured steadily, but May didn't rush. She had nowhere urgent to be, no one waiting for her, just a hotel room and another birthday spent alone. Inside Bel-Air, Zara watched the silver-haired woman walk away in the rain. She considered running after her with an umbrella but hesitated. Fear holding her back. Her job at Bel-Air paid her rent and helped fund her younger brother's education, she couldn't risk it. "That old lady," Vincent scoffed, returning to his post with a smirk. Trying to shop here looking like that, as if we'd let just anyone into Bel Air. Zara turned away, focusing on folding a silk scarf that cost more than her monthly salary. The store's elite customers continued shopping, oblivious to the incident. Soft music played, champagne flowed, and exclusive items changed hands, but Zara couldn't shake the image of the silver-haired woman's face, not angry, just hurt and disappointed. Back in her modest hotel room, May peeled off her wet clothes and wrapped herself in the hotel's thin robe. She hadn't cried when Vincent turned her away, but now, alone, a few tears escaped. She glanced at her phone. 3 birthday messages from her children awaited a reply, but May wasn't ready to talk, not even to Elon. What would she say? That at 76, she still sometimes felt like an outsider, a woman who didn't belong in fancy places. May stood by the window, watching rain fall over Parisian streets, the city lights blurring through her tears. She considered calling her kids but decided against it. Why ruin their day with her silly troubles? She'd survived worse than a rude doorman. Tomorrow, she'd laugh about this. But tonight, on her birthday, May Musk allowed herself to feel the sting of rejection. Miles away, in a sleek office, her son Elon sat in a meeting about space rockets and electric cars, unaware of his mother's experience, and the seismic actions he'd soon take, actions that would inspire millions and redefine what exclusivity truly means. But that was tomorrow's story. Tonight, May Musk gazed at the rain, reflecting on all the doors that had closed in her face throughout her life, and all the ones she'd forced open anyway. The rain stopped around midnight. May wiped her eyes, deciding she'd had enough. At 76, she was too old to cry over something so trivial. She'd raised 3 successful children single-handedly, built multiple careers, and even became a model in her 60s. One rude doorman couldn't take that away. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand, Elon's face lighting up the screen with a birthday video call. May took a deep breath, quickly fixing her hair before answering. "There's my birthday girl," Elon's voice came through, his face tired but warm. Behind him, May saw computer screens displaying rocket designs. "Hi, darling," she said, putting on her brightest smile. "Working late, as usual?" "As usual. But I wouldn't miss your birthday call. How's Paris?" May glanced at the city lights. "It's beautiful. I walked along the Seine today and had a lovely lunch at that little cafe you recommended. Did you buy yourself something special?" "Not every day your mom turns 76, Elon asked. The question stung. May tried to keep her smile, but something flickered across her face. Elon noticed immediately, leaning closer to the screen. "Mom. What happened?" "Nothing important," May said, waving a hand. "Just a little rain that caught me off guard." "Mom," Elon's voice was gentle but firm, "you've never been good at lying." "What's wrong?" May sighed. The downside of raising honest kids, they always knew when you weren't telling the truth. "It's silly, really," she began. "I wanted to go to that fancy store, Bel Air, to get myself a birthday gift. But the doorman wouldn't let me in." She forced a laugh. "I guess I didn't look rich enough for their taste." Elon's expression shifted. His faint smile disappeared, replaced by a calm intensity. "Tell me exactly what happened," he said. May didn't want to make a fuss, but she ended up telling Elon everything: Vincent's smug demeanor, how he let others in while blocking her, the lie about a private event, the suggestion to try tourist shops. "I felt like I was 30 again," she admitted, a single mom with worn-out shoes and 3 hungry kids, judged by everyone. She shook her head. "Isn't that ridiculous? After all these years?" Elon was silent for a moment. When he spoke, his voice carried a tone May recognized from his childhood, a quiet resolve before a storm of action. "What was the name of that store again?" "Bel Air, on Avenue Montaigne." "Yes, but Elon, please don't, the doorman's name?" May hesitated. "Vincent, I think it said on his tag." "But darling," it's not worth the trouble. These things happen. Elon's eyes had that far-off look, the one that meant his mind was already racing ahead, forming plans. May had seen that look when he announced he'd start a rocket company, and again when he decided to build electric cars. Elon, she said firmly, promise me you won't do anything dramatic. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. I promise I won't do anything that would embarrass you, Mom. It wasn't quite the promise she'd asked for, but May knew her son well enough to understand it was the best she'd get. Now, Elon said, shifting the topic, tell me about your lunch. Did you try the crème brûlée? They talked for another 15 minutes about lighter things, Parisian food, May's upcoming photo shoot, Elon's latest rocket design. By the time they said goodbye, May felt better. Happy birthday, Mom, Elon said. I love you. I love you too, darling. Don't work too late. After hanging up, May set the phone back on the nightstand. That look in Elon's eyes meant wheels were already turning in his mind. May walked to the small hotel closet and pulled out a worn shoebox she always traveled with. Inside were photos, Elon and his siblings as children, standing by her side while she juggled multiple jobs to keep food on the table. One picture showed a young Elon, maybe 10 years old, standing protectively beside her after a landlord berated them for late rent. Even then, her son had that same look, as if he were mentally designing a world where his mother would never be treated that way again. What are you planning now, my boy? May whispered to the photo. She put the pictures away and climbed into bed. Tomorrow would be another day in Paris, she'd visit museums, enjoy good food, and forget about Belair and Vincent. Whatever Elon was thinking, she'd deal with it later. As May drifted off, her final thought was of doors, those closed and those opened, and how sometimes the most important doors are the ones you have to build yourself. The next morning, Elon arrived at his office earlier than usual. His assistant, Theo, was startled to see him at 5:30 a.m. You're in early, Theo said, handing Elon his usual morning coffee. Rocket emergency? No, Elon replied, taking the coffee but not drinking it. I need you to find out everything you can about a luxury store in Paris called Belair. Theo raised an eyebrow but didn't question it. After 3 years working for Elon, he knew when his boss had that particular look, focused, determined, and a little intimidating. Everything? Theo asked, already typing notes on his tablet. Everything, Elon confirmed. Who owns it? How much is it worth to their business structure? And I want to know if the building belongs to the store or if they rent it. Got it. Anything else? Yes. Find out who I need to call to buy it. Theo's fingers froze over his tablet. Buy it? You want to buy a luxury store in Paris? Maybe, Elon said, finally sipping his coffee. Or just the building. Let's see what our options are. By 8 a.m., Theo had gathered most of the information. He knocked on Elon's office door, arms full of printed reports. Belair is owned by a French company, Lux Heritage, Theo explained. They've been in business for over a century. The building on Avenue Montaigne is one of their flagship locations, but they don't own it, it's owned by a property management company based in Monaco. Elon nodded, scanning the papers. Call them. Tell them I want to make an offer. For the building? Yes. But by 10 a.m. Elon had also made 3 international calls, each leaving Theo more stunned than the last. Are you sure about this? Theo asked after the 3rd call. That's a lot of money for something personal. Elon leaned back in his chair. Do you know what my mom did when I was 12 and some kids at school were bullying me? She marched to the principal's office and refused to leave until they fixed it. I didn't know that. She worked 5 jobs to feed us. Theo, 5 jobs, and never complained, Elon said, his voice quiet but intense. So yes, I'm sure. Theo nodded and left to make more calls. Meanwhile, in Paris, Zara arrived at Belair for her morning shift. As soon as she stepped through the staff entrance, she sensed something was different. Groups of employees huddled together, whispering. The usual morning music wasn't playing. "What's going on?" Zara asked Philippe, one of the security guards. "No one knows for sure," Philippe replied, looking uneasy. "But Madame Dupont locked herself in her office after a call an hour ago. She doesn't look happy." As if on cue, the store manager's office door opened. Madame Dupont, a tall, thin woman with sharp features and piercing eyes, stepped out. Today, those eyes looked worried. "Everyone's attention, please," she called, clapping her hands. The staff quickly gathered. "I've just received unexpected news. The building housing our store has been sold." Gasps and murmurs rippled through the group. "Sold?" asked Marcel from the jewelry department. "To whom?" "That information hasn't been disclosed yet," Madame Dupont replied, her tight smile not reaching her eyes. "But I've been assured we can continue normal operations." Vincent, who had just started his shift, pushed to the front of the group. "It's probably just some investment group," he said loudly. "This happens all the time in high-end real estate. Nothing to worry about." Madame Dupont's smile tightened further. "Thank you for that insight, Vincent. Now, everyone, back to work. We open in 30 minutes. The staff dispersed, but the whispers didn't stop. Zara headed to the scarf display she managed, her thoughts drifting to the silver-haired woman from yesterday. Something about this felt far from coincidental. By lunchtime, rumors had multiplied. Marcel claimed he'd heard the new owner was a Russian billionaire. May Musk hadn't forgotten the sting of being judged by her appearance or dismissed for not looking important enough. "More coffee, madam?" a waiter at the Parisian café asked, pulling May back to the present. "No, thank you," she replied with a smile. "Just the bill, please." As she paid, her thoughts drifted to the video call with Elon the previous evening. She recognized that look in his eyes, the one signaling he was up to something. It was the same determined gaze he'd had when he declared he'd start a space company because existing rockets were too costly. "Oh, Elon," she whispered to herself, "whatever you're planning, please don't make a scene." Gathering her things, May stepped out into the Parisian sunlight, resolved to leave behind the memory of Bel Air and its rude doorman. She was in one of the world's most beautiful cities, she wouldn't let one unpleasant moment ruin her trip. As she strolled along the Seine, her phone buzzed with a message from Elon. "How are you, Mom? Planning anything special?" The question seemed innocent enough, but May knew her son too well. This casual inquiry was his way of gauging her whereabouts for the next few days. "Just sightseeing," she replied. "Why do you ask?" Three dots appeared, vanished, then reappeared. Finally, his response came, "Just wondering. Enjoy Paris. Love you." May smiled and shook her head. Whatever Elon was scheming, she wouldn't find out by asking directly. Her eldest son operated differently. When he had a plan, he kept it under wraps until he was ready to unveil it. Tucking her phone back into her bag, she continued her walk. Paris was too lovely to waste time worrying about whatever gears Elon had set in motion. That evening, back at her hotel, May scrolled through old photos on her tablet, snapshots of her children growing up, the tiny apartments they'd shared, graduations, and milestones they'd celebrated together. There was young Elon, already resolute as a child, Kimball, always kind and supportive, and Tosca, creative and strong-willed. "We made it," May whispered to the images of her youth and her young children. "We got through all those closed doors." She had no idea that soon, her son would open a door that would not only change her life but also touch many others, a journey that would begin with an invitation arriving the next morning. 3 days after the incident at Bel Air, May was enjoying a late breakfast in her hotel when a knock came at the door. A hotel staff member stood in the hallway, holding a creamy envelope on a silver tray. "A delivery for Madame Musk," the young man said with a slight bow. "Thank you," May replied, puzzled. She hadn't ordered anything. Back in her room, she examined the envelope. It was heavy, made of luxurious paper, her name written in golden ink. There was no return address. She carefully opened it, revealing an embossed card with gold lettering. You are cordially invited to a special event at Bel Air, Avenue Montaigne, this evening at 7 p.m. Formal attire required. May stared at the invitation. Bel Air, the same store that had turned her away. Was this Elon's doing? How had he arranged it so quickly? And what exactly was he planning? She reached for her phone to call him but paused. If Elon had gone to such lengths, perhaps she should just go along with whatever surprise he had in store. Oh, Elon, she sighed, placing the invitation on the nightstand. I hope you haven't done anything too dramatic. May opened her closet to see what she could wear. Among her travel clothes hung a single elegant black dress, simple but classic. She'd packed it just in case, not expecting to need it. Well, she said to herself, I guess I'm going back to Bel Air after all. Across Paris, Zara arrived at Bel Air to find the store closed to the public. A sign on the door read, closed for a special event. Inside, the staff buzzed with activity, preparing for something major. Madame Dupont called everyone together, her usually impeccable hairstyle slightly disheveled, her expression tense. Today is an extraordinarily important day, she announced. The new owner will be here tonight. Do we know who it is yet? Marcel asked. No, Madame Dupont admitted. But whoever they are, they've invited Paris's elite for tonight, renowned designers, celebrities, business leaders. They've all confirmed attendance. For store publicity? Philippe asked skeptically. That seems unusual. Everything about this situation is unusual, Madame Dupont snapped. 3 days ago, this store belonged to Lux Heritage. Now it belongs to someone else. So I expect everyone to be on their best behavior tonight. She assigned tasks. Marcel would oversee the jewelry section, the clothing department would showcase their finest pieces, and Zara was to arrange scarves near the entrance. This concludes our narrative journey. I trust you found this gripping saga of intrigue, cutting-edge innovation, and astonishing discoveries captivating. From where are you tuning in today? I'm curious to learn which corner of the globe this tale has touched. If this escapade held your interest, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for a steady stream of compelling, mind-expanding stories just like this one. Fresh material is posted frequently, ensuring you're always in the loop for the newest spellbinding adventures. Be sure to pass this video along to your loved ones and friends. It's a great way to share positivity and insight while expanding our circle of story enthusiasts. Your encouragement is invaluable. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to welcoming you back for the next tale.